Carrion is a metroidvania style game with a unique horror theme attached to it. The visuals, music and gameplay give the game an interesting look and feel. I will be giving my thoughts on the story, visuals, sound and gameplay. This was also, unbeknownst to me, my first metroidvania style game. Let's get started. A group of scientists on an expedition discovered a strange egg sac at an unknown location. During the initial inspection at the scene, the creature inside the egg sac emerged and killed the scientist. It absorbed one of the scientist's genetic code and mutated into him. It then made its way to the surface, where a group of additional helicopters had landed along with a security detail. As it approached them, a drone began taking pictures of it, alerting security, who captured it. It was taken to an underground facility where its genetic codes were removed, thereby also removing its various abilities, and stored in containment units. However, something went wrong and the creature escaped its containment unit. It made its way through the facility, trying to escape while also killing personnel. Along the way, it would locate and break open the containment units containing its removed genetic codes, mutating in the process into its original, more powerful self. Security personnel would attempt to stop its escape, but would end up being overwhelmed by the monstrous creature. The final containment unit contained the genetic code for a human. Upon absorbing this code, it would transform into a scientist, the same one as had been on the expedition. From here, it would head towards the hand scanner leading to the surface and bypass it in its new form, allowing it to emerge from the facility. In the backdrop would be the city of Seattle under a partial quarantine. The story is fine. It's a simple story about a creature trying to escape a facility where it was contained while slaughtering its way through it. The backstory also merely reveals how the creature was discovered and how it ended up in the facility. There is a problem I have with part of it. During the flashbacks, it's revealed how a group of scientists stumbled upon the egg sac of the creature. Along with them came a flying drone that would take pictures of the egg sac while the scientists studied it. Later, after the creature emerged from the egg sac and killed the scientist, the surviving scientist woke up, that's actually the creature in human form, and managed to leave the abandoned facility. On the surface, it would encounter a group of security personnel that had arrived as well. They ignored the creature and gave no indication of any suspicion on their part. This changed when it was encountered by a flying drone, the same type as the one that went down into the facility with the 3 scientists originally. It starts taking picture of the creature, who is still in human form, after which the security personnel shoots and captures it. As soon as security starts shooting at it, the creature mutates into its hideous form. This means that they are at the very least aware that it can shapeshift into humans as well. From the aforementioned events, it's clear that the company Relief Science, at the time of discovering the creature, had technology that could identify if someone was indeed a human. There was something about the creature in human form that humans were unable to perceive, but that its flying drone sensors might. It also immediately started taking pictures of it, which ended up alerting the security personnel that something was wrong. Thus, the disguise did not work on these drones and their sensors. Since these events occurred in a flashback, it makes sense that these would be older drones and that newer technology would have been developed by the time of the creature's escape attempt. Although, to be fair, no mention is made of the amount of time that passed between the creature's capture and its escape attempt. My confusion comes with regards to the security of the facility. There are a few places that have scanners that require a human hand to be scanned in order to gain access. Near the exit of the facility, the creature, after having obtained its last DNA that allowed it to mutate into the human form it had before it was captured, was able to successfully bypass these scanners. I don't understand why the company would use these scanners to ID if someone was human, since they already had technology that could do it, the aforementioned flying drones and their sensors. All they had to do was replace the hand scanner with these. If anything came by that the drones would be suspicious of, which they would, as was evidenced before during the initial scientist expedition, the doors would not open. It might be argued that these scanners were not intended to stop the creature from bypassing them, but rather to control access to various parts of the facility as it relates to the personnel. However, according to the image on the scanner, it seems it's not intended to ID the person, but rather to check various parameters of the individual, as is evidenced by the 5 check marks on screen. The system more than likely is checking various aspects of the individual in order to verify that they are indeed human. Also, since the creature can mutate into a scientist, one that worked for LF Science, you would think they would at very least remove that scientist's access from the facility, or at least add that scientist's DNA on a blacklist, just in case the creature escapes and manages to retrieve its original human DNA. All of this felt like a big oversight on LF Science's part. Carrion has fantastic art direction. Blood spatters occur on surfaces where the creature moved across. Plants, chains and the like sways as you move through them. Initially areas will be undisturbed, but as you interact with it you can end up destroying various objects. The environments will also change after a fight. It will be clean in the beginning, but afterwards it will be covered in blood. There are also atmospheric moments of dust being blown down or into a cave, and the occasional sun rays being cast through holes in the scenery. In some cases you have light shining in from the background, giving it an amazing and immersive effect. Sometimes smoke will rise up through caves, though your creature doesn't appear to affect it. A shame, really. The lights in the environments are fantastic and gives the game a great atmosphere. The environments themselves are great. The Leviathan Reef base looks fantastic with its blue-colored lights scattered about, mixed with the underwater areas. In one case there is what appears to be a section of the base that is underwater with windows to the outside but underwater areas. The Frontier Highlands has this post-apocalyptic look to it. The faded sunlight with the decaying or abandoned surrounding structures in the caves makes these areas a favorite of mine. This applies to some extent also to the Frontier Marshlands. The armored warfare facility has a few areas with rain dripping in from vents and the rain and lightning outside. The botanical gardens have a few areas with plants. When the creature moves through the vegetation, it disturbs the plants. It looks great. Later, you'll also encounter security personnel with flamethrowers. The combination of colors of the fires, creature and vegetation are fantastic. The sound design is great, the creature sounds fantastic, the various enemies with their rifles or security drones and machines all have great sound design. When underwater the sound is muffled, making it more immersive to the game world. Finally, the music is fantastic. It's a joy to listen to and is excellent at conveying horror. The movement is somewhat mixed. Seeing the creature gliding over terrain, wrapping around various objects and obstacles is fantastic and it looks great. It stretches and clumps together as it runs over floors and walls or when it collides with it. However, in some cases the larger creature can be a bit annoying to control when traversing levels, since its back end will wrap around objects, slowing you down and killing a little bit of that smooth motion. It can also make combat a bit annoying as you sometimes end up getting stuck on the environment. However, I think this is part of the design and is just something to get used to. The combat itself can be either a drag when you have to painstakingly take out enemies, or it will be over too soon. Some abilities such as the Carrion or the spikes you launch are excellent for combat encounters, making some of them trivial. The abilities are cool, ranging from the aforementioned spikes to mind control parasites, cloaks and smashing through obstacles. They are used in both combat and in puzzles. Their availability is dependent on your creature's size. If it's small, it will have cloak and netting. If it's size 2, it will have the smash ability and the Carrion spikes. And if it's the largest one, it will have launching spikes and armor. Thus, you will need to change your size to gain access to the various abilities in order to get past certain obstacles, such as lasers or blocked vents. In order to change your size, you will need to find a pool where you can store your biomass. This will reduce your size by 1. In this example, you need to get past the laser, but in order to do that, you need the cloak ability. You head to the nearest place where you can dump some of your biomass. Once you've dumped enough, you head back to the laser and using your cloak ability, bypass it. The big problem with the gameplay is navigation. Not only have I gotten lost a few times with no real idea of where to go to next, but the few times I've tried to explore I end up not finding my way back. It makes the final area, the control room where they show you what you've missed, useless to me, as I have no idea where they are located nor how to get there. The lack of a map hampers the game's exploration element. I do not want to try and explore the level as I would only get lost. I do not have the necessary situational awareness to be able to tell where I am nor where I have been while in a platformer with broken up sections or screens. There's also very little in the way of teasing when it comes to exploration. There weren't any areas I felt was teased enough before I was eventually able to access it. The closest was this instance. Here there are 2 lasers. On the left is a hole. So far throughout the game, these holes lead to different areas, new areas. When you touch the laser, you end up tripping them, causing a door to close, blocking your way to the hole. This is great. There's clearly a hole I need to get to eventually, but with no real way to do it currently. Sometimes the environment can work against itself for exploration. These metal structures I initially thought were decor, so while I was running around the world I never thought of them as anything other than that. The areas behind them I thought were mainly to fill out the level so it won't look as empty. This means I didn't really think about the stuff on the other side. It's not like I had a map with which to look at and notice and wonder how I will eventually reach those areas. Despite some of these issues, I did enjoy the gameplay. I like Carrion. Its theme of reverse horror is a great idea. Its environments and music are fantastic at supporting the theme. Though the animations and gameplay are good, it's brought down by the lack of a map. That in turn also hinders the exploration element of the game. I would recommend it. And with all that said, I'll see you next time. Thanks for watching.